Hey everyone, this is Kurt and I bring you another standard match. Today we actually have a very special set of card fighters in our video today. Of course, as you can probably tell on the right, we do have a member of Nexus Core. This is Richard from Nexus Core. Not too familiar with their videos. I think I've seen like a couple. But anyways, on the left we do actually have, I think from a smaller channel, Team Avalon, Daniel. He's going to be piloting a Rorowa today. This is the semifinals of our local tournament. Of course, I'm sure you can see Richard is playing Shiranui there. This is the semifinals. These two are both undefeated. This is round 4. We have a pair down on the next table. Of course, that's actually going to be Matt from Bok to Bok Gaming. We've got nothing but Vantubers here in the top tables. If Matt can manage to win the pair down, then there will be one more round after this. And surely Matt is capable of taking down, what's he facing off against? I think he's facing off against Green on Mask. Surely an easy win for Mr. Matt Bok of Bok to Bok Gaming. Anyways, getting back into the match, we are already in progress. We do have Shiranui going second here. Definitely where Shiranui wants to be. So we, of course, have Rorowa just riding up and then just getting that plant token swing into the Vanguard, getting nothing off the damage or the drive checks. So now, in this matchup, Rorowa theoretically does have a very decent chance. Rorowa is a very strong rush deck. They can just throw out a whole bunch of strong attacks that don't necessarily hit over defensives, which is probably what that Luster Dragon over there is for. Just, you know, to help you hit better numbers, gives you a better grade 2 game. I've definitely considered like taking a couple Luster Dragons in some decks that I think might be able to grade 2 game, and this definitely is possibly one of them. And you'll see a Radina being called here, calling out that Momoke, so we do have a pretty decent column there. We've got the plant token. We're going to be retiring it for the Momoke, giving it an extra 5k, so it is now a 10k booster or attacker. Calling down a Rosarium Fairy here, retiring that last token we had there to call 2 more. Now we are actually putting the Rosarium Fairy in the front row, which is a little atypical. Typically when you use Rosarium Fairy to attack, you do want it in the back row, but I suppose there is some utility considering the fact that Rorowa actually uses plant tokens, so a plant token might be a little bit more valuable than actually just the Rosarium Fairy, since Rosarium Fairy is only here for that first skill. So we do actually hit into a defensive, so this Seiryu, I think his name is going to be at 18. We're going to get another 5k, which I think we thought was a 2 to pass, but in actuality, if you do the math, you see 8 plus 10, and then another 5 there, that actually makes 23, and this Rorowa is attacking for 15, so that is actually a 1 to pass, but of course we're not going to realize that in the moment, and instead we're going to be giving the power to the Momoke, pumping it up to 20k, so we're still going to be able to hit over this defensive, and then the Radina is going to be able to Soul Blast 1, and you know, get the power from the Momoke there and put herself all the way up to 30k. So both of these are actually going to be able to hit over that defensive there. So it looks like we're just be doing a proper 5k block there, guarding for 23, and then hitting the Radina into a heal trigger. So we're going to accomplish, we are actually going to be getting 2 damage. So we need to give the power to the Momoke and the critical to the Radina. Definitely a very good play, because the Radina is going to be hitting much harder than Momoke, and effectively you're giving the trigger power to 2 units, since she is able to just take the power of the Momoke. Anyways, passing over to Shiranui, we do have the grade 2 Shoujo Dojo being ridden here, checking the top 5, getting a PG and an Isasao. So definitely very good ideal hits. I mean, you probably prefer that the PG were something else, because you don't really want to get rid of PGs out of your deck, but you know, it's better than nothing. It's a free soul. You can't really complain. Using the Isasaro here to check the top 5, going to be adding that that grade 1 that I don't really remember the name of. I know it was recently in the How to Beat Shiranui video, but I've already forgotten. Go figure. But I know what it does. It's the on-play CB1. If you have the crest, draw a card, and then when a dominated unit attack hits, you do get to bounce it back to your hand. So just basically one of the few ways that Shiranui does have to, you know, actually use CB. CB denial doesn't really work against Shiranui unless you deny them at 0. because realistically they only need 1 CB, and then even if they do not have CB and it's second strike turn, they can just go into Mukuro, which doesn't need any CB. So very fair and balanced there. Anyways, we see the Stride Fodder being pitched there, adding the Oboro to the hand. Looks like we're just going to be swinging the Vanguard first. I suppose we are playing front, so it is definitely possible to hit one here, and that would a huge thorn in Rorowa's side. But looks like we're no guard here. Flipping over a critical trigger, giving a crit to the Vanguard and the power to the Izasawa. So we do actually see a defensive trigger here, getting an extra 10k to our Vanguard, allowing us to draw a card. So that's definitely going to help us stave off these other incoming attacks. So we basically nullified the Fudai's attack, but the Izasawa is still going to be able to actually hit. So I guess we're just going to have to decide which rear guard we want to get rid of here or attack into. Definitely that Radina is the correct option, because, you know, Radina is a very key component in Rorowa's strategy, so trying to take it out here is definitely going to be the correct play. Looks like we are going to be blocking it with a 15k guard there, and then swing the Izasawa. We do actually have an option. We could go after the Radina once again here, or we could just try and push a little bit of damage. Rorowa is already at 3, so, you know, trying to put even more pressure is definitely going to put you in an advantageous situation. But looks like we are going to be blocking that Izasawa with another 15k. So 2 15ks used in that single turn. Definitely not where you want to be, but at the same time, you do have this next turn going in. You do have this next turn where you have a complete full board. You've got still a decent amount of cards left in hand. It's looking like we might not be riding up, which I think is definitely a totally viable strategy. We've got the Vanguard that's got that booster behind it. We could theoretically even like retire some rear guards here to pump up the Momoke to have even stronger swings. And let's see, the one unfortunate thing is that Rosarian Fair, which is only 13. Like, yeah, it still hits, but that's not really a great number. We can just like intercept and get rid of it. What we could also do here is like direct a lot of attacks at the Fudai. The problem with that, of course, is that, you know, you are losing a lot of pressure against the Vanguard. So it looks like we are actually just using the Momoke to retire the token behind the Vanguard, which I think is just a little bit questionable, considering that you definitely do need a booster for the Vanguard if you want to have any pressure at all. We do see the Rosarian Fairy just being gobbled up by that intercept, and then now, since we don't have a booster for the Vanguard, it's going to be an easy 15k guard for a 2 to pass or OT to pass, basically. Smoke, having eaten that token, is going to be able to hit all on his own for a 10k, and then theoretically we could also just swing the Radina for a 10k. We don't necessarily need to use her skill, but if we do, we can have a higher probability of actually pushing that damage or calling out for a 15k guard, since she will be at 20. Of course, not really as strong as she was last turn. Not that strong in general, but, you know, you do kind of have to, you know, you got to play with what you've got. Honestly, like, if we had like a mushrooms, this would be a really advantageous position, because we could have used that Momoke to gobble up those 2 tokens instead of just the 1. And then we would have been able to swing for 15, which is a much better number, and a 25 on the Radina. And honestly, maybe we should have just gobbled up 2 rear guards, maybe even just eat the entire Rosarium column. I know you're giving up on an attack, but we would have had a Vanguard that's actually a bit of pressure that might have made us think twice about actually, you know, throwing down a 15 if we wanted to commit another 5k to the guard there. We might have gotten the same amount of guard value out, and then of course this Radina and Momoke would have been hitting for a little bit stronger there. But, you know, it is what it is. So Shiranui actually riding up, so kind of just putting the clock. Okay, I'm just gonna go in. Technically, Shiranui is at a lot of advantage here. It is winning in the damage race. We did actually use our CB there on the 10 ray to actually just, you know, get the draw. So theoretically, you could damage deny Shiranui in this next attack. We do see the 2 to pass being flipped here, or being put down here, and we see a critical trigger on the first check, but we're not going to gamble at all and just give the power to the Fudai there. So we're going to swing the Tenrei at the Rosarian Fairy, just getting rid of it. And then the Furai is going to be swinging for 20k. That's going to be 2 damage. Definitely not an attack you want to be taking, so you do not want to go to 4. Unfortunately, it looks like the only option we have to guard that is going to be that OT. So kind of a waste of shield there. But, you know, you do what you have to do because you do not want to be at 5 against Shiranui, in all honesty. So another reason why I said that, I think in the video I said that they can't stride unless both players are 3, is because realistically, if your opponent rides up, you're not going to stay on 2. There's no way that you're going to stay on 2. You need to ride up. So if they ride up, you're always going to ride up. So I guess a little bit of explanation from that video there. Anyways, riding up into the Rorowa, we did actually have a very nice top deck there. If you noticed, it was the promo. We do have the Resolute Pair of Eyes that we drove check on the last turn. Going to be using it to retire that last little token there, and then of course search the deck for a Radina. Looks like we are going to be going for the grade 3 Radina, which is in most cases usually a very good finisher. Like after you do all your 4 attacks, getting that 5th and or no, you can't have a 5th attack unless you have like 2 Momokes, I think. But getting that 5th attack can really be the deciding factor to literally just like finish people off. We do see the Rorowa being procced here, summoning out those 3 plant tokens. Looks like we're retiring 2 to give Momoke an extra 10k, or as I've been calling it, gobbling them up. So we still have a pretty good situation here, as we are going to be using the skill of the promo from the hands. I believe you slide it into Soul, and then you search your deck for the upgraded Rorowa, and then you just ride it straight away. But you cannot activate Persona Ride since you did actually ride a grade 3 here. If you didn't ride a grade 3, you would actually be able to utilize Persona Ride, but that card is just very good in all respects. It's just a really good card. It gives you 4 more copies of your Persona Ride, I guess. I don't know what to call it. Your upgrade, your special Persona Ride, whatever you want to call it. Anyways, we do see the riding of the Verdant Flash Rorowa. Of course, its skill does still proc, where you do call those special plant tokens, where if they are retired, you do get to draw a card for each. So basically just making some great nature tokens there. And you don't actually get to activate Persona Ride, but, you know, you're on this Vanguard, you do get an extra 5k to 2 things when he attacks, and you do get some crit pressure on the Vanguard. Unfortunately, Vanguard not hitting that strong. The Resolute Pair of Eyes does do a little bit of work here, giving an extra 5k to all those back row token units. So this be getting a 10k boost instead of just, 5k boost. So not terrible numbers. If we can make that crit sync, we do have a much better chance of, pushing game here. Using the Rorowa skill to pump up both the Radina as well as the Vanguard. Not sure why we didn't give it to the Momoke. I believe it says give 1 of your glitter regards. And correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm pretty sure Momoke is a glitter. He does say glitter on his little token card there. So the attack is going to go through, pushing Shiranui to 4, but the worst case possible scenario is going to be happening here, as we see 2 defensives, including a front trigger, which is just absolutely disastrous. So this 10k column of tokens can't even hit anything because the rear guards are at 18 and 20k. The Vanguard is at 33. So basically you got 1 swing in, and now you can do literally almost nothing. So that Momoke is going to be swinging for 20k at the Furai. Basically that's all you can do. We do have the Radina swing, which is going to be 35 with the extra 20k from the Momoke. Theoretically, it would have been 25 regardless. I think you should just give them the 5k power to the Momoke, assuming that you can, but 95% sure that you can. So, giving now the Radina can actually hit here, but at the same time, it's just a 5k guard. Like, oh my gosh, this is terrible. And I guess we're not going to be going into our grade 3 Radina, just because, I don't know. I feel like you might as well. Like, you're giving up on 5k shield, but you are getting more cards out of the hand. Looks like we're deciding if we want to use the Oboro's skill. It doesn't really look like there's too much there. I guess there's the Rorowa from the grade 2. it really doesn't make a huge difference because, you know, they already do have a grade 2 that you can dominate, and in all honesty, you probably want to just retire that Radina anyway. But honestly, yeah, you do actually use the Shiranui Oboro skill here to call over something. You force them to call over one of their tokens, or yeah, you force them to call over the token or the Radina. So basically what I think you should have done there is you should have just called the grade 2 Roa over, or you just call the grade 2 Roa, and then you put them in a very bad spot, because all those tokens, if they overcall them, then it is, you know, you're giving up you're basically taking away 5k shield from the Rorowa player. If you call over the Radina, then well, they're losing out on the intercept theoretically, but you're going to be dominating and retiring it anyway, but you get the same number. So I think that's just like a little bit of a misplay, because in most cases it doesn't actually really matter, because like the tokens aren't usually shield. Rorowa is the one exception there, as we do actually see the tokens being gobbled up there by Rorowa this time in order to actually block the attack. Radina's going to swing again with the Magen Tembu at Rorowa. And unfortunately, it looks like we don't actually have a ton of shield value here. What we can do is something similar to that. We could actually retire both tokens to block this attack. It looks like we're going to go ahead and retire one token, one plant token, as well as guarding with the Burrow Mushrooms. And then the Radina is going to retire due to the Magen Tembu skill. So it looks like Shiranui is completely dominating this board. We do see 2 copies of multi-attackers there, being the Esperidia and the Fudai, kind of just deciding where we want to put them. I'm going to be giving the booster to Esperidia, which definitely makes sense. Esperidia is the weaker of the 2 attacks here, because Fudai is going to be swinging with those 2 dominations that happen this turn. 25, give me a 15k block. Looks like we're not going to be blocking it. We're going to have to bank on defensives here. Swing the Esperidia unboosted. 18 is a fine number, but you know, maybe we should have just gone for 21, but it doesn't really make that much of a difference, because most cases they're just going to be guarding with a 15k block anyway. But you know, I guess that's up to player preference. Anyways, we're going to swing the Vanguard using the skill of both Esperidia and Fudai in order to you know, restand them. And it looks like we are going to be having to take this Vanguard swing, getting 2 Blitz orders and a Tenrei. And unfortunately, that is going to be the end of the match, because if we take a look at Rorowa's hand, we had 5k shield value and the tokens, and that was pretty much it. So that is going to be the end of the match. I hope you guys enjoyed. Don't forget to do all those YouTube things, like, comment, subscribe, and go check out both of these channels. They both make good content. So I'll see you guys in the next one.